and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. We've curated a great programming for you today, talking about insecurity and politics. Well, our first topic today is tackling the rising spate of insecurity with focus on what government is doing. Our talking point, first, unpacking Tinubu's meeting with security chiefs. Enough is enough. Those are the words from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Away from that, we'll also look at the National Economic Council's review of livestock rearing system. This is a very controversial topic when it comes to the issue of farmers and herders clashes. We'll look into what that review can bode for the state of security in our nation. And also much ado about the Nigerian Governors Forum's collaboration with security chiefs. Is this the time to be active with collaboration? Shouldn't we have gone past all of that? Well, we will get into the details of that. And also today on the show, we'll focus on the future of the People's Democratic Party ahead of the 2027 election. Our talking points will focus on concerns as PDP governors, senators, defects, and IAPC. Over the week, we saw the defection of Okowa and also the governor of Delta State. Well, also today on the show, we'll look at Bayelsa PDP crisis, Wike versus Deri. What is going on in Bayelsa State? The PDP crisis, is probably destabilizing Rivers State. And is the FCT minister trying to wage a battle with the governor in Bayelsa State? Well, we will break it down for you today. And lastly, our talking point will also focus on Atiku conundrum and the way forward. There are people in the PDP who feel as though that Atiku poses a huge challenge for the party. Well, our guest with us, Ogwede Faluyi Isibo, PDP chieftain, and also the former Commissioner for Digital Economy, Science and Technology, Edo State. Once again, Honorable, good to have you on the show with us.
Thank you.
The news headlines, it's just been a whole lot to unpack, but I know you're fully ready for us. So let's just update our viewers that President Bola Tinubu directed an immediate comprehensive overhaul of national security strategies, demanding urgent action to end the escalating violence in Borno, Benue, and Plateau, Kwara states. The president, who met with security chiefs at the State House in Abuja for more than 2 hours, said the killing of innocent people in Borno, Benue, and Plateau states must cease. And of course, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, told newsmen that the service chiefs briefed the president on the security situation. The NSA said President Tinubu ordered a new approach to tackling the insecurity problems. Ribadu noted that President Tinubu was also actively monitoring and giving instructions during his work visits to Paris and London, saying the president highlighted the need to involve the local councils. Finally, this is something that we've been advocating for on the show in tackling the security challenges. And he also said the attackers usually target innocent citizens by planting improvised explosive devices in targeting ungoverned areas. Let's have a listen to Nuhu Ribadu.
Graciously, Mr. President gave us a chance to come and brief him, and it lasted very long. We gave him an update of what has been the case and what is going on. And even when he was out there and before coming back, he was constantly in touch. He was giving directives. He was following developments. And we, in charge of the security, got the opportunity today to come and brief him properly for hours. And it was very, very detailed, and it was exhaustive. It was complete and A to Z what has been the case and what's been happening today. And we listened and we took instructions from him. We got new directives. The fact is, Mr. President is insisting and working so hard to ensure that we have peace, security, and stability in our country. We gave him what is going on, and we also assured him that work is ongoing and continuous. We also carried out his instructions. We went around. The chiefs were all out where we had these sparks, and incidents of insecurity, Plateau State, Benue State, even Borno, these particular 3 states. And we gave him a feedback because he directed us to go meet with the political authorities there. Issue of insecurity often is not just federal government. It involves the subunits. They are the ones who are directly with the people, especially if some of the challenges are more or less bordering on community problems. Not entirely everything is that, but of course it plays a significant role. You need to work with the communities, you need to work with the local governments, you need to work with the governors, especially the governors. The president continued to direct that we should be doing that, and that's what we are able to. And we are very happy, very satisfied with the instructions and the directives given by Mr. President this evening.
Okay, definitely. Well, security concerns us all. Stefano, I mean, you've seen what the president is coming out to say to the security chiefs. You know, I've always seen the interests of not just governors, but the federal government with local government finances, forgetting the fact that when we talk about insecurity in this country that has lingered for decades, I mean, there seems to be a high concentration in local government areas. So what do you make of this new approach to resolving the security crisis that President Tinubu has taxed his security chiefs?
Thank you for the question, Mono. I'm going to respond to your question by asking a question. Are we really committed? Are we really serious about tackling insecurity in Nigeria? Are we not tired of having to lose people in their tens and hundreds due to farmers' headers clashes or a clear case of invading communities and they just enjoying, if you allow me to use the word, the pleasure of killing people? Are we not tired of the failure of governance at all strata, federal, state, and local governments, where the security and the welfare of the people appears not to be on the front burner? Are we not tired of having, the president meet with security chiefs and give orders that people feel fall on deaf ears and not much is done about it? Are we not tired of seeing policemen or soldiers, make videos and complain of how they are being instructed not to go after these bandits in the forest, or how they are, living in very poor conditions with very little morale and poor attention given to them by their bosses and government? Are we not tired of seeing pictures and videos of women and children being slain, on a regular basis, where 5-year-olds are having their throats slit, by men of the underworld who just want to cause chaos and kill people? Are we not tired of the situation where Nigerians are afraid to move around, they are afraid to travel, they are afraid to go to their farms, they are afraid to go about their normal business? People travel, 2 hours journey on the road, and all through the journey, you're praying and fasting just to get to your destination. Are we not tired of a Nigeria where nothing appears to be working on the side of the people? Are we really not tired? I'm tired. I'm tired of having to see all of this go on, and it appears that there's very little that's done by government. Perhaps should we be governed by some external forces that will be able to put us in the right direction? Perhaps are we not able to govern ourselves and lead ourselves on a path of peace and progress? Are we not unable to see that, our brothers or our sisters, as their lives are as important as our lives? Or is it that there's a total mental breakdown of Nigerians generally, where we have seen so much of these killings and now it has become very normal for us to just see it happen again? 60 are killed here, 61 are killed here, 50 are killed here. And the next day, it just appears that, well, it's one of those things we see in Nigeria. It's sad and it's shocking. And I'm looking forward to the day where we would have more decisive action being taken by government.
Talking about decisive action, one thing with President Tinubu, we've seen bills scale up at the National Assembly like at the speed of light, and you're like, oh, the national anthem has been changed. So when the president talks about the local councils, because the security chiefs and several security experts that have had the opportunity to interview have always made reference to the fact that the issue is on governed spaces, most of these border areas. You have local government, chairmen who are supposed to rule over those places. So when they say ungoverned spaces, what does that mean? Knowing fully well that the local government is supposed to cater to governance under that particular
First of
level.
all, it's a shame that we're even having to ascribe communities or locations as being ungoverned, in a nation.
Does that should not be, right?
Yes, that makes absolutely no sense because, I mean, there should not be any area or community in Nigeria that is not governed because we have different levels of government. And so every area falls under a local government council. And there ought to be a local government authority, in charge of that area. And just like the governor has a duty to protect the lives and property of those in the state, so also does the local government chairman, just like the president does. But I think the president, saying that local government councils should be strengthened, to me, is just tongue-in-cheek. It's not what he really means because we have seen on a sustained basis where governors dissolve local government councils, governors suspend or just outrightly remove local government chairmen
that were democratically elected.
Of course, elected by the people, just like the governor, the president was. And there appears to be no corresponding action, by the president. So if in Edo State, for example, the governor could just come and, the House of Assembly, he would instruct them to suspend all the local government chairmen. And the next day, we're seeing hooligans take over local government councils. And that is an APC government, and the president knows that this sort of thing is happening in one of his states. What has he done, to make sure that that doesn't happen? What has he done according to the law? If the Supreme Court says that local government should be autonomous and the governor of your party is trying to destroy that autonomy, what action have you taken? So for me, it's tongue-in-cheek. But to the real McCoy of the case, a local government chairman has jurisdiction over his local government council. He knows the ins and outs of his local government area. He knows those areas that are hotspots. And he knows how to deploy help because there are divisional police offices across local government councils, and one would think that, if there's a local government authority in place that has financial autonomy, that means that you can deploy the resources of the people to their benefit, which includes security. He should be able and should be held responsible where there are issues or pockets of insecurity in his areas. But again, if governors say that, they're chief security officers, and they tell us that their hands are tied because they're just chief security officers just on paper, not to the true word or to the letter of it, then that tells you how helpless local government chairmen are. And one would have thought also that traditional councils would be traditional leaders should be able to help in this regard, but everybody appears helpless.
So sorry to cut you short, but if the president is being honest about, a state of emergency, as many people are calling for, because, he was swift to declare a state of emergency, do you think this is beyond the security chiefs? Because when you say ungoverned places, the security personnel are supposed to protect, while those democratically elected are supposed to govern. So it's like, how do the security operatives play that role, if that is the root cause of the problem?
My dear brother, the truth is that we are under-policed. There is a shortage of men and women or officers to help us govern the entirety of Nigeria. And that is the truth. And every now and then we hear the IG giving a warning or withdrawing security men attached to VIPs. And that appears to happen every AK market day. And there's really no sense in seeing that.
Are they being detached permanently or just temporarily?
It appears that it's a tongue-in-cheek statement by the IGP because, he says it today, tomorrow we'll see the same thing happening. We're still seeing policemen hold the phones of the wives of governors or local government chairmen even. We're still seeing, 5, 10 policemen follow one individual whose life is not more important than the life of any Nigerian. So apart from the fact that we have a shortage of personnel to govern the security architecture of the state, we are to a large extent a joke as a nation. Because really, if now we're having the military officials go from state to state, encouraging people to join the army, and people are saying, no, do you also come to ask us to join the CBN or to join the NNPC with this same vigor? You're asking us to come and lay our lives for the Nigerian. You see, I'm careful not to use some words here, but I feel really pained that this is not a serious nation because we do not have a serious government. First of all, the people do not even feel that those in authority have the legitimacy of the people to even lead them. So if the president is trying to, ask people to form vigilantes or people to support the police, give them information, do we even have any trust that those who are giving information to are going to work with that information we're giving them? Or is that going to be a boomerang? Oh, you gave me the information, so people come after you. We are running a system of government where there is a completely absence of trust, not lack of trust, absence of trust. So we don't even care what the president says or what the governor says because we are more bothered about their actions than their words. Our president just came back from vacation and they told us that, oh, he was monitoring the situation wherever he was. He went on a working visit. Are we not? Should we not be ashamed
So
that at this
what was the
level?
need of someone in this meeting if
Exactly.
he was actually
If
doing
it was
that?
on top of it, then there was no need for this. I mean, there's technology. If you wanted to have a meeting with security chiefs anywhere in the world, you could really have it. But it's baffling and it's mind-boggling that we are just operating in a system where we're just living by the grace of God, really. But how can a society really function merely by the grace of God?
Now, President Tinubu is always someone who likes to pride himself as progressive. We saw what he did with the local government autonomy, even though we're waiting for the National Assembly to perfect everything that has to do with the ins and outs of how it will fully function. But do you think that this issue has to be revisited in terms of full local government autonomy, where the local government could report directly to the federal government? But we've seen resistance. Of course, the governors took the federal government to court on this matter. So how do you think this administration can, bridge that gap?
The Constitution already gives local governments some level of autonomy. And that is why the Supreme Court, in her judgment, gave full administrative and financial autonomy to local government councils. There's no discussion concerning this. That's what the law says, and that's what it should be. What we want to see is that governors who flout the Supreme Court judgment, there should be a fine, not even a fine, there should be a consequence for disobeying the Supreme Court. And that is where the president comes to play. If you are having governors, being put under some level of consequence, if you allow me, for disobeying the Supreme Court judgment, other governors will sit up. And then if the local government councils get their money directly from the CBN, I was told that the CBN is asking local government councils to come open accounts with the CBN. That shouldn't be, such a big deal. If that is the case and they're having their monies come to them, and these people are elected by the people in the local government councils, there will be a sense of more accountability at the local government level. I must applaud, the federal government for the fight and the drive to make sure that the financial autonomy and administrative autonomy was granted to the local government council. But it doesn't stop there. There must be a proper implementation of this. And those governors, like the Edo State government, for example, who have deliberately truncated democracy at that level of government, there should be a consequence for it. Until that happens, it'll just be a joke.
Now, still talking about the issue of insecurity, the National Economic Council on Thursday kicked against the current livestock rearing system in Nigeria, saying there is a need to change from the old ways to modern practice. And this meeting is still coming amidst the spate of attacks in parts of the country. And of course, scores of persons have been killed. Now, when he was briefing State House correspondents, Governor Diri of Bayelsa State said the NEC emphasized the need to work towards modernizing livestock production in Nigeria. And according to him, the council noted that the current system of animal husbandry in the country is failing. The herders-farmers clash, as witnessed recently in parts of the country. So he also said the Ministry of Livestock Development reviewed an accelerated livestock development and growth strategy with targets to boost revenue generation from the sector to between 70 billion and 90 billion by 2035. And the clashes between nomadic cattle herders and farmers over land use are just so common in Nigeria. But when you look at the case of what has happened in Plateau State and Benue State, I mean, they are clearly saying it has gone way past farmers herders clashes. But we all know that that's the root foundation, and that seems to be like the entrance for which this prevails. So when the federal government is talking about a review What is your own analysis of this situation?
Well, so what's happening in Benue and Plateau State, for example, is not farmers' headers clashes. It's an orchestrated annihilation of people. It's a genocide of some sort. It's a calculated attempt to just kill people in their numbers. It cannot be farmers' headers clash. I mean, people are sleeping, at night in their homes, and people, invade them with rifles and open fire and kill people. That is not farmers' headers clash. This has gone on for maybe the last 20, 30 years. And all we keep hearing from government is the same story, the same gist, the same rhetorics, without corresponding action. I don't think that the Fulani herders are the owners, really, of the cattle that they were. These cattle belong to millionaires and billionaires, many of whom
Why
are
do you
in
say
government.
that?
Because that's the truth. We know what it costs to buy one cow, for example. And the little boys and who move around with these cattle, they don't own these cattle. They're just rearing the cattle. Somebody owns them. And so, if as a farmer you cannot provide for the feeding of your animals on your own accord, then that's a failure on your part. I don't have to. You don't have to depend on government to feed your cattle. So even if the land is owned by government, you have no right to invade government land just to feed your cattle. That's your private business. I mean, when you sell the cattle, you don't pay government, a percentage, or the farmers who you go to invade their farms a percentage. That's your business. It's just like having a poultry, for example, and I say, oh, I have 2,000 poultry beds, and I take them on the streets to feed them. That's not, a civilized way to farm. And so the NEC's decision of having to better organize livestock husbandry, to me, it's all barbarism.
So, well, I mean, when you look at the issue of grazing, it's something that we've, talked about over and over, and it just seems like the politicians try to be politically correct in how they want to handle the matter. Well, also disturbed by the state of insecurity caused by multiple crimes, banditry, and a spate of kidnappings, as well as massive destruction of property across the country, the 36 state governors under the aegis of the Nigerian Governors Forum have set up a subcommittee of the Nigerian Governors Forum to work with the heads of security agencies for a collaborative approach and an immediate solution to the security challenges in the country. And in response, the 36 state governors have called for a swift action and urged security agencies to confront the security challenges directly. And according to the governors, as part of nipping in the bud the insecurity situation in the country, the committee will synergize with the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the Chief of Army Staff, and General Taurid, and the likes, and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Now, back to you, Ifaloyi. You see this issue of insecurity. I'm just remembering some of the words used by security experts that I've interviewed, and they've always talked about collaboration, synergy, which is very important because the governors will tell you that they are practically handicapped because they don't control the armed forces. It is the federal government that does that. So when you look at this new development, are you hopeful that this could be productive?
I'm thinking there should be a different way of policing, policing states. If we're going to call it creating state police, if we're going to have to amend the constitution to have governors to have more control over the security architecture of their states, I'm thinking that would help. If we're going to also break it down to also local government council chairmen also having some level of control over the security architecture in their local government areas, I'm thinking that will also help because the issue of kidnapping, I'm happy to hear that some governors are not joking about it. Some governors are enacting laws, prescribing, kidnappings and also making sure that the homes where these people are being held are destroyed. I'm going to give it to the governor of Edo State for taking it further from where we left it, for making sure that homes where kidnappers are being, where hostages are being kept, are being destroyed when government gets to find out. My only worry is that we must make sure that these are actually locations where people are kept and not just homes of opposition members. Because, politics today, anybody could destroy your home claiming that kidnappers were kept there. But it's a good thing. I'm thinking that more governors can, do more, even with the limited powers that they have in control of security architecture. I'm thinking that they can do a whole lot more. They can do more by also being more active in their states. When there's an issue of insecurity in a particular local government council, I think the governor should go there. It gives the people the feeling that this governor really cares, and this man or woman is standing up to her job. It's more than just issuing statements or writing, press releases. I think governors should go there, and that's what I expect of the president too. If we had a president that was elected by the majority of the Nigerian people, who feels that he owes the people, their security and their welfare, I expected that when the man came back from London or wherever he went to, you go first to Benue State, you go to Plateau State, you go there to commiserate with the people. That is what is expected of a leader today.
Do you think that the governors are also part of the problem? Because I recall the issue of the so-called rise of LACROA, a terrorist group. From the Homagos report and online websites, they study and research into insecurity in the Northeast. I was reading one of their reports, and they had interviewed locals in that particular community that is affected, and they've been calling on the government that we have people who are invading our lands. They were actually brought in to help against, farmers' herders clashes. But as time went on, these people came from outside the country and then, got mixed with the locals and now have become to, pose threats to the lives of the people. But the government seemed to ignore them only till when everything blew out of proportion before they were like, oh, who is this new terrorist group? Meanwhile, they've been in that particular community for years. So do you think that the governors needs to do more? Because they're talking about synergy with the security chiefs. How about synergy with the locals who are actually there?
Yes, I think it's more than a collaboration with the security agencies. There must be a buy-in by the people. If the people come out to make a complaint, a legitimate concern, I think the governors should be able to, drive it to a logical end, the concern.
Do you think they try to okay, let's not paint our government in a bad light? Because most times when you come with security concerns, they're like, that information can be downplayed.
That's dirty politics. Because if we are to assume to play decent politics, if there's a report made by a community, complaining about insecurity, it's your job to make sure that those concerns are addressed. It cannot be how the public perceives you, but how the people really, how they see you to act, in their stead. Because if a governor, which sadly is the case most times, where governors are more concerned about the public image or how they are seen to be working, how social media is painting them, whereas if you go to this state, it's completely different. I think that they can do a whole lot more. And when people like respected General Tiwa Danjuma came to tell us a few years ago that he thinks that some of these people collude, with the bad guys, many people felt, oh, he was saying too much, but we got to see that he was actually right. And so if we're seeing social media videos of policemen and soldiers telling the Nigerian people that come to our help, come to our aid, sometimes we're trying to go after these bandits, but we are stopped from doing that. That gives credence to the assertion of General Danjuma that sometimes these people collude. So how safe are we? If those who are putting their lives on the line for the people are being stopped or pressured by authorities from above not to go after these bandits or kidnappers or to these Fulani herders, it's worrying.
But that's just one side of the problem, because when you look at that side, there is religious, ethnic undertones to it. So in that kind of situation, what do you think can be done?
No, I think the religious part of it is not as critical as the idea that people just want to have a field day killing people. I agree. I mean, Plateau State has been in the news, for religious crisis, for several years. Southern Kaduna has also been in the news for religious crisis for several years. But we're seeing that bulk of what we see now is just, people who are helpless, people who are ungoverned, as being given as feed to these killers. That's what it really is, because we cannot really pinpoint those who are doing this thing now to say, okay, they are from this faith, having to attack those of this faith. But what about faith? What about the sanctity of the human life? Should that not be more worrisome? I'm thinking that there's a whole lot more that should be done, and we don't have to paint it that it's a farmers' herders clash or it's a Christian versus Muslims thing. I don't want to think so. I want to think that there's a failure of the security architecture in Nigeria. There's a failure of leadership in Nigeria, and that is the foundation of the crisis that we're seeing. The political crisis, the insecurity crisis, the hunger crisis is all a failure of leadership. I mean, if we had somebody who felt that Nigeria needed clear leadership, I'm sorry, what we have now has no idea, nothing close to real leadership. If we had that, where a president is seen to be a human being, where a president is seen to really care about the people, where a president is seen to move from place to place. Forgive me and forgive Mr. Peter Obi. I love him and I love his style of leadership. Maybe it's political, but we don't care. But what we want to really see practical leadership, where a leader will go to a place or a people that are hurting to really comfort and console them. That is what we really need to see. This man stays in Abuja. The next week he's off to France, he's off to London, and he's gallivanting around the whole country. And the country is in a mess. We're in a mess politically. We're in a mess security-wise. Hunger is killing people. There never used to be a case where hunger will really kill people. We just say that, just to generalize. But today, hunger is really killing people. There are people that are dying of starvation in Nigeria. And what is the leadership doing about it? We're seeing them. You see, I'm on national TV and I just want to try to contain my emotions. But the truth is that the Nigerian people are hurting.
I mean, I think action is very necessary at this time because these are just ideas and they're just floating. And some of the resolutions from these meetings are not really quite new. Well, we will have to move away from that now, but we'll take a quick breather. And when we come back, we will move straight ahead to the future of the People's Democratic Party ahead of the 2027 election. To stay with us.
Ellen 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
Ellen 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
Glad to have you back with us on Politics Now. Well, we're moving the conversation to the People's Democratic Party. A lot is happening. Our talking point is focusing on the concerns as PDP governors, senators defect IAPC, and also Bayelsa PDP crisis, Wike versus Diri. What is really going on there? And also Atiku conundrum and way forward. So let's start with the concerns. Oppositional political parties, especially the People's Democratic Party, the New Nigeria People's Party, and the Labour Party are bleeding as some of their prominent members have dumped their platforms for the ruling All Progressive Congress. Now, our People's Democratic Party, the New Nigeria's Party, and the Labour Party, concerned by the wave of defections to the APC, the PDP, and the NNPP, and the coalition of united political parties, all accusing the APC-led federal government of exploiting state resources to coerce their members and other politicians into switching allegiance to the ruling party. Now, in response, the APC has welcomed the defectors, dismissing claims from all these parties as unfounded, asserting that politicians are willingly joining the party because of the significant achievements of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope administration. Well, on Wednesday, Delta State Governor Sheriff Obovere, his predecessor and PDP's 2023 vice presidential candidate Ifeanyi Okowa, along with all party members in the state, officially defected to APC, and the announcement was delivered in Asaba by Senator James, our manager, following a marathon meeting that lasted over 6 hours at the government house. Let's take a listen to their justifications for the defection.
Quite some time now, the media, particularly the social media, has been awash as to what political decisions we are going to be taking in Delta. And while that was on, our governor and the leaders of the party have been very, very busy carrying out necessary consultation. And it's also part of that consultation that we have also caused a meeting to hold here in the government house in Asaba for the leaders of the PDP to be able to advise as to what necessary steps that needed to be taken. It is said that when the taste of the palm wine changes, the drinking pattern also changes. And the leaders of the party, in the course of the consultation, were unanimous in their view that the political temperature have changed, the taste of the palm wine in this instance have also changed, and there was the need for us to adjust the drinking pattern. And in adjusting that drinking pattern, we needed to take a decision that will further help to cement the development in our state, to build the bond of love that have existed in our state, to further advance the cause of security and the welfare of our people, and to a very large extent, ensure that development in Delta, because every politics is local, is not truncated. And in taking that decision, we came to the inevitable conclusion that moving out of the PDP is very, very necessary for us to be able to collaborate with our kith and kin and build that state that every Delta will be proud of.
Now, the Delta State Commissioner for Information, Miagu Charles, formally confirmed the governor's defection along with the unified decision of Delta PDP leaders and stakeholders. And of course, you just listened to him. Charles stated that the decision was reached unanimously by party leaders and stakeholders, indicating an official public announcement. And of course, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So, Ifali, we've come to your party now. Are you surprised by this? Because he was not in attendance at the last PDP governors meeting in Oyo State.
Well, I'm not very surprised, you know. I'm surprised a little bit because I wasn't expecting Delta State to fall like a pack of cards, you know, for the APC. But sadly, that's what we appear to have seen. There's all forms of conjectures. People are saying, you know, so many things. People are expressing their views. Some are saying that former Governor Okowa was being harassed by the EFCC for several months now, accused of diverting 1.3 trillion naira.
So that could be the trigger.
And so this is just the only way for him to get out of the EFCC's net, by moving with his governor and the entire executive of the state to the APC. Because in the APC, no matter what you've done, no matter what your sins are, the moment you join the APC, you're forgiven. And so people now brazenly can steal money or misappropriate public funds, and whenever they're out of office, they join the APC. Because when you join the APC, nothing matters anymore. The security agencies treat you with kids' gloves because you're not a member of the ruling party. When you go, the courts treat you very well because, you know, you're not a member of the ruling party. The EFCC doesn't harass you any longer because now you're one of them. You know, so it makes a joke of the whole system. But I think the PDP is experiencing a rebirth. I think we're experiencing some form of a metamorphosis. You know, and I'm happy that we still have 2 years before the next set of general elections. Yeah. And it's a long time for us to come together and rebuild our party. I'm happy that those who want to leave are leaving, because it got to a point where you could be in a circle of PDP faithfuls and you're not sure who you're really dealing with. You know, is this guy actually going to the APC, or is he already there, he's just waiting for, you know, to receive the credit alert or whatever the case is? You know, but I want us to get to the point where all those who want to go, whether they're governors or senators or whoever they are, please go. You know, and let those who want to remain and rebuild the party.
You know, let's get to the deeper issues now. The party crisis, is that not also a factor now? Away from the governor, we've seen lawmakers, not even just in your party, even other political parties. I mean, it's just a whole lot that is going on in your party. Is that not enough reason? Because if your house cannot put itself in order, I mean, people will not feel comfortable. I mean, I see the umbrella logo of the PDP. I mean, that's supposed to shield you. So do you think that that is not the reality now?
Well, I do not think that if there's because there's some form of crisis in your political party, then you leave the party to
well, a crisis that has progressed and continues to progress with no signs of slowing down.
Well, but
do you think people will be convenient to still want to be a member of the party?
What is the point of being a member of a political party? If the idea is only to have power and remain in power, then you have no reason playing politics.
Don't you think that's the same issue that PDP is undergoing?
Absolutely. And there's really no political party in Nigeria today that's not having crisis. Even the APC.
But not like the PDP.
Well, the PDP crisis is not a crisis, to that extent. I think
it's not a crisis.
I think it's just a glitch.
Glitch.
Yes, I think it's a glitch and not a catastrophe or not a crisis, because it is what can be. We've had worse situations than
when
this
you
before.
have members of your party working against each other.
That is why we're
that
having
is not
to,
crisis.
Yes, I don't think it's such a crisis that would now make PDP governors or senators or rep members to now leave. I mean, if your roof is having an issue or is leaking, then do you now leave your house to your neighbor's house because you feel that the roof is leaking?
But
it is your
this is what
responsibility.
you politicians are known for, because as you say, when you define the word politics, it's a game of interest. So when someone feels as though that their interests are not being protected, do you think they are still bound to be loyal to a particular platform?
I think it transcends beyond being a game of interest. And that is why we must evolve in our politics. We must, I'm trying to find the word now. We must invoke a different way of playing the game of politics. It cannot just be about interest. It cannot just be. It must transcend your interest. What about those who elected you? What of their interests? So that is what it's about. I'm thinking that people get into politics to get power, to deploy the resources of the people to their benefit. So it must transcend being about your interest alone. But again, if the PDP gave you an opportunity, you rode on the back of the PDP, you rode under the umbrella of the PDP, and you got elected into the Senate. And for some reason, there's some form of crisis that can be resolved in the PDP. And you now leave. You're leaving just because maybe you think that you will get a ticket to run, next time or the next. But is that really?
But again, let me take you back to someone like the FCT minister. He's been accused of anti-party activities. He's supposed to be, or I would presume that he's a stakeholder in the PDP, even though some people may not see him as a stakeholder anymore. You also look at a personality like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He's also been accused of anti-party activities. So when you have major leaders in your party like that, acting out the way they are acting, do you still feel that members are safe?
That is why I think that we should build institutions instead of building men. Because when you build institutions, like a political party is an institution, it should be able to self-govern. It should be able to have the final authority or the imprimatur of its members to take decisions. But when political parties are centered about individuals, the wikis and the articles, then it becomes difficult for the party to really be a formidable
But that's
force.
not far-fetched, because these individuals have the resources to fund the party.
But no, these resources, was it resources from their own hard work or sweat, or from their farms or from their businesses? These people occupy public office. So it's not, you see, it is a shame that we've gotten to the point where individuals pilfer and pillage resources of the people, appropriate to themselves, and now become gods in the system. It should be shameful. What has been the business, for example, of Mr.
So who is taking this blame now? Is it the leadership of the party?
No, everybody shares in this misfortune. It's a malevolence, that everybody has to share in, because it has been a collective destruction of the fabrics of our democracy. And so it's a collective responsibility that we all have to share. And that's why I'm happy, to some extent, that some people are leaving. Those who do not have the balls to remain in opposition and fight the fight of opposition and they're having to leave to the APC, good riddance to bad
Well,
riddance.
I just want to be logical here, because if I want to stay and remain, there should be something that is holding me back to want to remain.
The ideals.
And that responsibility solely lies in the hands of the acting chairman,
No,
who happens to be
agree with
Damagun.
that. I don't
Do you
agree with
think that Damagun shares in the responsibility of these waves of defections?
Your remaining in the PDP has absolutely nothing to do with Damagun or whoever is at the helm of affairs.
The leadership ought to be able to bring people
together.
But
are these leaders, are they not made up of human beings too? Is there no ethics and ethos or ideology that governs your being a member of the party in the first place? Should it just be that the moment the chairman of the party or acting chairman is not behaving well, then you just leave? What happens too when you go to the APC and the same thing happens, then you leave? What kind of unstable individual are you? Unstable as water, how can you excel? People should be able to be known for something. I mean, most of these guys who are jumping from place to place are not living in poverty. These guys have been emboldened and empowered by the state, by the people's resources. So the excuse of, oh, because we're having a crisis in the PDP, as you've said, or because we're having a glitch, as I've said, then you should not leave, or because former Governor Wike claims to still be a member of the PDP. He works for an APC administration. He's committed to the president. He's committed to seeing that the president gets re-elected. He's committed to seeing that the president looks good before Nigerians, especially those in Abuja. Is he doing a good job as long as that is concerned? Yes. But is he extending this misery, I'll call it, to wanting to also lay claim to what's going on in the PDP? If you've pitched your tent with the president, oh, well and good. Allow the PDP, allow them manage their affairs. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And if you allow me to stretch the word, it's becoming very foolish for you to serve an APC government and be committed to that party and to that government.
Your party has failed in, I don't want to use the word punish, but there should be measures or disciplinary measures for anti-party activities.
That is why
but your party has failed to do that.
They all fall into the same pack of wolves. They all fall into the same caricature.
That's the leaders of your party?
Absolutely. They all fall into the same cocoon of weak individuals. And I'm saying that with full clarity. Because if not that the man has been using his money, to sustain some of those who are in the PDP today, they would have had the balls to take actions. If a situation where Atiku has his men, those who he's sustaining, Wike has his men, those who he's sustaining, then they will always dance to the tune of Atiku or Wike. Those ones now do not have any conscience, because when you feed a man, you determine his actions. But when you have failed to become financially sustaining, when you have failed to become independent-minded, when you are in the house of this person trying to get your daily bread, whatever decision you're going to take is going to be tied to what he wants. And that is the failure of the leadership we have in Nigeria that has snowballed us into the PDP.
Let's move the conversation forward in terms of alleged association of state working committee that is led by Solomon. Now, the PDP in Bayelsa State this time around is dismissing claims of appointment of a new caretaker committee headed by loyalists of the minister in Abuja here, Nyesom Wike. The zonal executive had met at the PDP zonal secretariat in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, citing allegations of gross misconduct, poor performance, and mishandling of internal crisis as reasons for the shakeup. And as part of the restructuring, the leadership appointed George Turner, an ally of the minister, as the chairman of the new caretaker committee. And they are calling themselves the new associates. I'm wondering what that means. So we're looking at, we just finished the Rivers political crisis. I mean, Governor Fubara is a member of the PDP. And I mean, we saw all that played out leading up to his suspension as governor of the state. And this time around, we're seeing the FCT minister wage a sort of political war in the PDP in Bayelsa State. Now, is this not a good ground for someone like, Oboveri to leave the party? And what's your take on this fight?
I have enormous respect for Governor Wike, just as I have enormous respect for the suspended former
Fubara.
No, for the suspended former vice chairman PDP South, Chief Dan Obi. I see him as a very distinguished individual. Now I'm only shocked that right now he appears to be in a strait betwixt two, as not knowing exactly where he is. If because he's the one who has set up allegedly the new caretaker committee in River State, and there's a governor in River State. And the party has said that the party leadership of the PDP has dissolved, or that time has elapsed. The South Zonal Executive, the time has elapsed, far back in March, and a new caretaker committee was inaugurated by the party leadership. And one Chief Ogidi is the new caretaker committee chairman for the South region. And I'm wondering why Chief Danobi is still issuing, releases, and when he's been suspended from the party. And that's what is spoiling this. He is a friend of Governor Wike, and so whatever we see happening to cause insecurity or to cause instability, of the PDP in the South is felt by the same channel of individuals. And give Governor Davis some respect. That's the governor of the state. That's a PDP governor. You cannot be having, a caretaker committee in a state where there's a PDP governor. If you're having that in a
and he's also looking forward to have this mega rally also in the state.
And the governor has come out to tell the president that please call this man to order. Really, let's take this away from politics now. It doesn't really make any sense. It's not fair to the people of Bayelsa State that you're having to cause political instability in the state just because of selfishness. Governor Wike should be more measured in this. He cannot impress the president to the point where now he's causing crisis in the South. He was a governor before. Nobody would have come to River State when Wike was governor to do this kind of nonsense that he's trying to do now.
So do you think he's making use of federal might to do this?
Absolutely, that's what it is. And we are hoping that the president at some point will call him to order. Now, please take it easy. We still have 2 years to the elections. Don't cause so much instability in the politics just because you want to try to please me. We understand the importance of sycophancy. And we know that some people do it way more than some others do it, but he should be more measured in this display of the extreme sycophancy. We know you want to win the South for the president, but we know you do not have the imprimatur of the people to decide for them who to vote for. The time will come. So please don't reduce your propensity to cause crisis in the South just because you want to try to let the president know that you are the best sycophant he has around.
But the reasons why he's into all of this is not far-fetched. If there is one government administrator that is, will I say, open to the media, it has to be Governor Wike. He's had these sessions of conversations with our colleagues in the media as to his ideology, his way of saying things. And when it comes to the issue of the party, it all boils down to that 2023 elections and the fact that, the right thing was not done in terms of those who were supposed to field the candidacy of the party. So when you look back at that, do you think the party is ready to, go back to his own idea of what he feels the party should have done for the sake of peace to reign?
Well, Governor Wike, with due respect to him, he has every right to feel bad about what happened in 2023. Some of us actually feel that if he was a vice presidential candidate, the party may have done better. But 2023 is 2 years ago. We can't be crying on a sustained basis over spilled milk. You were not vice presidential candidate. The PDP did not win. But you're still in government somehow. You're able to manipulate the votes in River State to favor the President Tinubu. And that's fine. But you cannot want to now destroy a party that gave you the opportunity to serve as local government chairman. Then you were a commissioner also. Then you were chief of staff. Then you were a minister. Then you were a governor. A political platform gave you that advantage. You cannot, it doesn't make any sense to want to destroy that just because you didn't get one more thing from the party. 2023 has passed and Nigerians have moved forward. We are still grappling with the difficulties of the decisions that some of us made, and how many people feel that INEC colluded with the APC to bring forth the president they have now. Nigerians are still grappling with that difficulty.
But what is the role of the leadership of the party in handling this particular new dynamics?
Yeah, I think party leaders have tried to weigh in. But I'm also thinking that to a large extent they are weak because they have formed an alliance to several blocks. There are some who are pro-Atiku. There's some who are pro-Wiki. There are a few of them who are independent-minded, but there are so few of them who have that independence to make such decisions. So it's a more difficult situation. But my appeal would be, to Governor Wiki, since you are in the APC, as it were, serving in that government, making sure that they win re-election, allow the weak and dying PDP, in his view, allow them deal with their own issues. While you focus on your job and let them figure themselves out.
Okay. Now, I wanted us to have a quick look at our last talking point, which has to do with the article challenge now. Because of time, I can't really follow my script, but I mean, he's 78 and he's run so many times. Do you think it's time for him to hands up when it comes to influence in the party and probably support someone who is younger, because we're seeing so many people calling for him to step down his ambitions, because that's really a huge concern for a lot of people in your party.
Well,
What's your feeling
I honestly
about this?
think that Africa should rise above the level where people want to remain and die in power. I honestly think President Tinubu and Atiku are going to be about the same age, even if one appears not to know his actual age. I honestly think that they're about the same age. We should really be thinking about, we should long ago have thought about moving governance or leadership to the next generation. We should have somebody in his 50s trying to run for office now. So those who think that Vice President Atiku should go ahead with his ambition are right. He has an ambition. He has every right to pursue his ambition. Those who are thinking that there should be a generational shift, to a different generation, they are also very right too. And I share both views to that extent. But I'm thinking that let us get political power as far as party politics is concerned from individuals.
But you seem to be trying to be neutral. There are some people who feel who would not like what you're saying, because it's pretty glaring that the article conundrum is real, whether it is both ways. So why are you not picking a side?
Well, I'm neutral because I have an independent mind. I don't depend on any human being for my self-sustenance. I'm financially stable to that extent. I can fend for my family. So I don't need to tilt to the side of anybody to speak in their favor. I'm more worried about the PDP.
Well, our time is up. Faluyi, thanks for being with us on the show once again.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, and that's the much we can take on the show today. I want to thank you for your time. We will always continue to have these conversations right here on Politics Now. Once again, my name is Morno Balagogo. Many thanks for watching.